This video I'll be covering how to use the air traffic control system and the communication comm rows in BMS correctly. I will showcase the takeoff, air refueling, and landing, all in this video, while going over the buttons that you need to press to communicate. Q is for AWACS, W is for Wingman, E is for the element, R is for the entire flight, T is for the tower, and Y is the tanker and JTAC. I will cover all of them later in the video. If you would like to support the channel, check out my merch store where I have a few neat looking shirts. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe. See ya. You're in a mission with a whole bunch of people, and you're confused about the comm ladder and how that works. Well, it's not that hard. You just have to use it a couple times and it should be good to go. So first you need to go into your briefing, make sure you're in your correct flight, correct spot. Go to briefing. Look at your package elements. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 flights in this package. So the first flight will be Victor, using your Victor channels, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And those Victor channels will be used within the flight so they can talk to each other. And you can see that right here. If you go to intra-flight on your flight, you'll have the 15, 16, or 17 right there. That's the UHF and then the VHF. So both will be Victor 15. But usually we use Victor for intra-flight comms within your flight, so you'll be on Victor 15 for your flight. Check-in is 5, tactical is 6, tanker is 13. That is default, so you could, if you're going to the tanker, make sure you go to uniform 13. You'll be able to talk to the tanker. The ATIS is 130151. That's the ATIS on Victor. Now down here, it's departure ground. This is 2. You will request your taxi clearance on the ground. Once you get close to the runway, you'll get to the departure tower. You'll request takeoff on 3. Once you're in the air, you'll say that you're airborne, number 4. And then once you're in the area, check-in is where you check into the AWACS and they do some stuff behind the scenes, but right now at this moment BMS does not have that implemented. So therefore you would just skip to uniform 6. That is where your tactical is. You'll have your bullseye calls, people calling Fox 3s, people calling different things over the tactical radio. That's where you'll hear that. When you're done, you'll just go back down the ladder. So you'll need to go to the approach, tower, and then ground. So the easy way to do that is you're already on uniform 6, so just go to 7, which is the same frequency as 4, 8 is 3, and 9 is 2. So you just go up the ladder, and that's really all you have to do. So before you hop in, make sure you do your click dance. Make sure you click your seat, or click your flight, click your seat, go to cartridge, press IFF plan, comm plan. This sets up all of the comms that we're about to talk about when it comes to the air traffic control or ATC ladder. So if you do not do this, then you'll have a bad day. But make sure you do your click dance and do that right before you go into 3D. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the pit. So you made it in the pit, and now you're confused of how the comm ladder works. So first, you need to set your frequencies to the correct ones. So comm 2 will be your tower. Like I said, comm 1 is not really implemented, so you just leave that. Don't use that. We are the first flight in this package, so you'll use Victor 15. Make sure that's in there. So once you have 2 and 15, you're good to start. So the flight lead takes care of all of the comms when it comes to asking for takeoff, requesting landing, and all that stuff. So this is mostly for the flight lead. If you're a wingman, please don't mess with that because you'll mess up the order, and the flight lead, it'll be harder to get everybody on the same page if a wingman does it. So first, you'll get in the pit. You could use your T button to go to air traffic control commands. You can also move this around. It's kind of cool. Move it around. You can click it multiple times to go to different pages. Right now, I'm just going to do request or say active takeoff runway. Over here, runway 29er for takeoff. If you have it selected or on, activated, you'll see the text over here in the left corner. If you don't have it on, you won't see that, but you'll still obviously hear them. So I'm going to request takeoff now. So you go into the T command and you press taxi for departure.
Good morning, Cajun 2. You are number 3 for departure. Hold present position.
So being that I'm number 3, they'll have you take off in order, but that doesn't really matter. But I mean, something you want to have a good realistic time, but you can wait and they'll let you know when it's your turn to take off. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go over the different all the buttons on the keyboard. So Q is the AWACS, so you have all the AWACS here. The request picture, Wilco, check in, check out, all that stuff. You press it again. It's the next page. You got vector to nearest air threat, which is like a bogey dope. Vector to target, if you have a specific target. Vector to package, and vector to tanker. You can use all those at your discretion. Press it again, it resets. So going to the next one, W is the wingman controls.
Agent 2, taxi, Sierra.
So now they're having us taxi. I'm just going to taxi while explaining this. So 29er should be this way, or I'm going to do this. Should be this way. I'm going to cheat now. You can press the tilde above the tab on your keyboard. I'm just going to cheat real quick. They're having me back taxi over there. Interesting. All right, well, I guess we'll get started here. So I'm going to test the brakes. Brakes good. All right, so anyway, the W is the wingman, so it goes after your immediate wingman. So since I'm number 1,
Trojan 7, taxi, Sierra, Alpha.
you turn that down a little bit. You can turn that down with that knob. So I'm number 1, so my wingman is number 2. If you're number 3, your wingman will be number 4. So I have my wingman in here. You can do buddy spike, attack my target. You can only do that when you have someone locked on. That's why they're grayed out. Everything that's gray is not available based on the current conditions that you are in. The ones that are blue here, that's where you could actually to use them. So weapons free air to air, weapons free air to ground, weapons hold, all that stuff in there. And you could press it again. There's rejoin, split wing, glue wing, all that kind of stuff. You press it again. If you're locked onto something, you will have these options. These are just some tactical formations and tactical procedures to do. See, it's in the Combat Management 3. Press it again is mission management, resume mission, return the base, say damage report, and all that stuff. Press it again, more formation. Again, more formation. Miscellaneous, fence in, fence out, lights, music on and off. Runway lineup, when you're on the runway, they'll give you the option to line up single ship or element. And then press it one more time and it resets. The next is E. You press E, and this is the element. So if you're number 1, this is the second element. So that's 3 and 4. So it's pretty much the same thing as Wingman. I think there's some grinder stuff in here, but it's basically all the same as Wingman when it comes to the element. The R is the entire flight. So this is the same as element and same as Wingman. This is the entire flight. Might be some more options in here, but more or less it's just about the same. You got T. You know what T is? That's everything for the air traffic control. Also on the carrier, has the same stuff on the carrier. You can also ground abort your numbers there, your wingman, if you would like. And then you go to Y. Y is the tanker. You got request air refueling. And for this, you must be on the frequency for them to hear you or to respond. And this is JTAC. You can use JTAC as well in BMS. And then it starts over on the tanker.
6300.
So as you get close to the runway, they'll automatically give you a tower frequency. And for the tower frequency, all you have to do is just put it into the next. You just have to go to the next one. So being that we're on ground, we'll just go to tower, press Comm 3 and go there. And now we're on Comm 3. Now we press T, go to ready for departure.
Agent 2, hold short.
Telling me to hold short, so I'll just hold short here until they give me clearance to take off.
6 knots, runway 29er. You're cleared for takeoff.
There's a clear for takeoff, runway 29. I'm going to tell my wingman to go element takeoff. He'll probably get right next to me. I'm going to get on the left side since we're going to be making a left turn. So here you could put in the next frequency. So it'll be a departure since you're leaving. So I usually press Comm and then 4 and leave it in there. So all I have to do is now press enter once I get up airborne. There's my wingman. Good to go. So already been clear for takeoff. Going to run up the engine, head off the brakes, go into burner, and we're off.
Trojan 7, hold short.
So there's departure, so now I just press enter to go to 4. Once your number 2 is airborne, I think I just saw that he's airborne. So I'll just turn to the departure direction at least. Now, going to press T a couple times and say that I'm airborne.
Cajun 2, departure. Depart heading 135. Resume on navigation.
So 135 for the heading, which is going to be usually where your steer point 2 is. So you just turn to that heading, and that's toward my steer point 2, so that's good. So now you just go to uniform 6 for your tactical frequency. You can check in with your flight there. You'll be able to contact AWACS once you get to your position, and they'll call bullseye calls and everything like that. So if you're on the tactical frequency here, you could also request where the tanker is. So you can press Q, go to request tanker. That's if you have a tanker, so you can say vector to tanker.
Cajun 2,
Jammer.
1, tanker, Mexico, 7, bullseye, 2, 7, 6, 9, 8, TACAN channel,
United.
Yankee.
There's the tanker right here, 27697.
Chalice, 1, tanker, Mexico, 7, uniform, 3, 3, 0, 1, 0.
Also, it tells you the uniform, which by default will be 13, so you can just go ahead and tune to uniform 13. So I'm 51 miles away, so there's not really a reason to contact them. So I'm just going to continue that way, and I'll fast forward it. Once you get close to the tanker, you could tune to the uniform 13. I'm going to go to uniform 13 here. This is the tanker's frequency. If you're farther than 9 miles away, then the tanker's not going to listen to you. So make sure you're within 9 miles. Actually, make sure your whole flight is within 9 miles before you call the tanker, or else it won't put them in the queue to tank. So now you press Y, request air refueling, and only the lead does this. None of the wingman do this, unless the lead is not there anymore.
Cajun 2-1, Mexico, 7-1. You are number 1 to refuel. Cajun 2-1, Mexico, 7-1. Cleared to pre-contact position.
So they're clear to pre-contact position. AI does some weird stuff, so I'm making sure it doesn't run into me. But I'm going to stay on this side. There he is. So there's the AI wingman. I'm going slightly fast. I'm going to slow down here. So clear to pre-contact position, which is just, you know, pre-contact. Just get behind it and get stable. And then they'll clear you to tank after they deem you in position. So right now, I'm going to turn off my radar, or put it in standby, and then open up the AAR door to tank. Once you get into position, they'll call you to contact position. But first you have to get pretty close to get it to respond. And usually it gives you a clear to contact, but if it doesn't, oh, there it is.
2-1, Mexico, 7-1. Cleared to contact position.
So there's clear to contact position. If it
Cajun
doesn't,
2-1, Mexico,
you could
7-1.
press Y,
Tanker is entering turn.
and then the 2 back in pre-contact position. That'll kind of do the same thing if you don't get anything when you're close enough. But you have to get pretty close for about 10 seconds for it to notice you and get you in on the boom. So I'm gonna see if I can tank on the turn here. Wish me luck. See how the light's blinking and it goes away? That means you need to stay stable when it goes away. It's kind of bumpy up here.
Contact.
There's the contact position. You get my fuel page on my DED so I could see. So there's a 6,000 for me. I disconnected. Gonna close my port on the right side. Go ahead and press Y, and then say that you're done refueling. It'll set up the next person.
Mexico, 7-1. Cleared to contact position.
So the biggest thing is to make sure you're within 9 miles before you call the tanker, or else it'll basically ignore you, or it'll clear everyone who's within the 9 miles. So just make sure your flight is within 9 miles before you call the tanker. I think now we have individuals now. So if you're an individual, if your lead is gone, or all your leadership is gone, you can actually do individual air refueling. So you can just do number 4 and it'll be individual. Also you can do element refueling. So they'll just do the element. If 1 and 2 don't need fuel, and 3 and 4 need fuel, you could do that. So right now I'm going to go to my wingman, Going to go to rejoin after another 1,000 pounds goes through.
1,000.
There's 3,000 pounds, so I'm going to press 1 to rejoin. Over the tanker like this, going to go 1,000 up. Going to go above it so I deconflict from it. If your lead is not alive anymore, then
2 in position.
you could just do this on yourself. You can do it individually. But if the lead is alive, then the lead just has to do the request for landing, and it'll get everybody in the queue. So we're on uniform 13, so let's go back to uniform 6, back to the tactical frequency, and nothing's happening, so we're going home now, Miller time, so cool. So we're going to go to approach, which is 4, but you just go up the ladder, so you can just go to 7. I'm going to press Comm 1, press 7, and enter. So now we're on the approach frequency for our airport. So I can see the airport there. It's in front of us. It's 34 miles away. So within 30 miles is when you could contact the approach, so they could set you up for a approach. In the meantime, I'm going to talk about the different approaches you could do. So I'm going to press T here. There's a visual approach. If the weather's good, they'll allow you to do a visual approach. If the weather is not good, they'll force you to do an instrument approach. The visual approach and the instrument approach, they'll give you vectors to turn. They'll give you speed to maintain, and they'll give you altitude to maintain. So make sure you follow that, because it's all based on what the traffic is over in that area. Overhead approach is if you want to do an overhead approach, and then once you go to once you're on final, they'll have you switch to tower, which is 8, and then you'll have to choose the overhead approach option in this command here. See how it says overhead brake? So once you're in the overhead brake, go ahead and click that. It's for timing when it comes to air traffic control. So in this instance, we are 24 miles away. Make sure your whole flight is within the threshold there. I'm going to go ahead and click visual approach, and they'll vector me in for visual approach.
Orbit for spacing 4,000.
So they're having me, oh no.
2-1, welcome back. Vectors overlay bar approach, runway 29er.
So 29,
Page 2983.
visual approach runway 29. My
Turn left heading 205, descend to 4,000, maintain 250 knots.
205 and 4,000. So your AI Wingman automatically does whatever they went somewhere. But 205 and maintain 4,000. So I'm going to do that now.
Cajun 22, turn right heading 155, hold 4,000, maintain 270 knots.
And there is individual flight members, so make sure you're listening to your flight call sign, so you know what to do when the air traffic control tells you to.
Fly heading 195,
So that's me.
maintain 250
195 3000. And if you miss something from tower, you just go to T, press it a couple times until you see the say again, and you press 4, and they'll say it to you again.
Fly heading 305, hold 3,000, maintain 230 knots. Vectors to final.
I see the runway in front of me. There's the runway on the right side. That's the one I took off from.
Cajun 21, turn left to final approach course 290, slow to approach speed.
So there's turn left to
21,
final
contact
approach.
tower, done final. Cajun 22, fly crest
Told me
heading,
to
descend
contact tower on
4,000,
final, so now I can go
maintain
to
300 knots,
I can go to
runway 29er.
uniform 8. Gonna go to 8, press enter, press T, go to request landing for tower.
Agent 2-1, continue inbound for runway 29er.
There it clears me in for 29er. Well, continue inbound, doesn't give me a clear yet.
Agent 2-1, weighing 320 at 6 knots, runway 29er, clear for landing, jet gear down.
There's the winds, cleared for landing, runway 29. My landing gear is down. There's a slight crosswind, like they said. It's coming 317, so it's coming from the right, just a little bit. So if you land without permission, they'll immediately say you need to next time get clearance to land. Don't worry too much about that. Sometimes it happens.
Cajun 2-2, on final.
So there's my wingman on final.
Agent 2-2,
Going to exit
continue
here.
inbound for runway 29er. 2-1, contact ground, switch to 2640.
There's the contact to ground, which is actually 9, so you can just go to 9. So I press Comm 1, 9, enter. Now I'm on ground. I could say taxi back to the ramp.
Cajun 2-1, taxi to the ramp, Foxtrot 02.
And they'll give you instructions or directions how to get there. Once you get there, you park, and that's it. So that's it for the air traffic control ladder. Hopefully you learned something, and if you made it this far, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.